Harry's wife. Harry is frightened of her. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. There is the suggestion that Prince Harry is frightened of his wife. Where does this come from? Well, it is a report from the Scottish Daily Express. Okay, Farquhar. And therefore, we're going to dive into that, and then we're going to analyse, is this something that's accurate? And might it be the case that Harry, as an intimate partner primary source, a tall, strapping ginge, is he frightened of Harry's wife? The article by Douglas Dickey tells us Prince Harry is frightened of Harry's wife, claims biographer, as she makes tragedy comment. Angela Levin reckons the Duke of Sussex takes a back seat whenever his wife wants to talk, describing the situation as a tragedy. Prince Harry's biographer has claimed he is frightened of upsetting his wife, Harry's wife. Angela Levin reckons he is keen to stay permanently on Harry's wife's good side and is worried about saying something that might offend her. Those observations, pausing there, will be accurate. She, as a narcissist, always has to have control over the intimate partner primary source, and her perspective, when she looks at the interactions that she has with Harry and Harry's behaviour generally, is seen through that lens of needing control and fuel. And therefore there will be many instances where he will threaten that sense of control, albeit inadvertently. Now, having been with her for a number of years and of course experienced repeated devaluations because he finds himself in the sustained devaluation period, he will be well versed in noticing that she basically kicks off, that she criticises him, cold shoulders him, pouts, sulks, won't talk to him, lambasts him, perhaps even gives him a slap or two. There will be triangulations, although he may not pick up on that. He will see it more as just being compared to people. Trevor wouldn't have done this, Trevor would have supported me, Trevor would have been there for me, etc. Malign triangulation. Although Harry's thick, he would at least be able to recognise when he's being treated badly, but of course, caught in the fog of his own emotional thinking and the absence of information about narcissism, he has no idea why she treats him the way that she does, and he just thinks, there are times when I get things wrong and it causes her to be angry with me, and sometimes I just don't understand what it is. He might put it down to it being time of the month, her being tired, the stress, of course, of the world being against her. He won't realise that it's her narcissism at work. This, of course, means that he ends up treading on those well-known eggshells. Of course, it's a fool's errand, because he doesn't understand what it is that causes her ignited, often cold fury, sometimes heated fury, to manifest. And therefore, despite his best attempts to walk through the minefield without setting any of the mines off, he will never succeed. Of course, he wants to stay permanently on her good side, and therefore provides a slavish devotion to basically kowtowing to her. The fact is, he ends up still doing things which will irritate her, as seen through that lens of control. He will still offend her, even though he doesn't intend to, because it's not his intentions that matter, it's how she perceives it. And as a consequence of this, he will find repeatedly that he's lashed out at, blamed for things, castigated, lambasted, criticised. The article continues, the couple are currently considering whether or not to attend the King's coronation in May, after confirming they had been invited. Relations between them and the rest of the royal family are at an all-time low, following their Shitflix documentary series last year, and the publication of Harry's memoir, Wah, in January. Speaking to Dan Wooten on GB News, Levin said, I think it's well known that Harry's wife is delightful, unless you say something she doesn't want you to say, and then she's really scary. Use of veneer or facade, threat to control, and then manifestation of cold fury or heated fury. The article continues, and I think he is frightened of her, because the way he looks at her, he doesn't want to say something. If she wants to speak, if she wants to talk to someone before him, he steps back. Now, we've seen this. There's repeated footage which demonstrates, for instance, where she gets in front of him and he naturally draws back. In one instance, he even appears to curtsy to her. There's another occasion where he's talking to a group and she basically elbows her way in and takes over, shoving him out so that he's on the edge of the circle, looking in, dismayed, crestfallen. But that's what he is. He's simply second fiddle to her, because in her world, everything revolves around Harry's wife. Every word that she says is monumental, momentous, inspirational. The sentences that she spews are just beige word salad, but in her head, she's saying things that have never been said before, and everybody's oohing and ahhing at her brilliant insight. She believes that she must always be listened to, she must always be heard, and Harry can get out of the way because he has nothing meaningful to say. She has. The people are there to see her, not him. The article continues by explaining he's very nervous, and I think that she commands it all quite obviously, because this is not the Harry he was a few years ago. Again, pausing there, that is entirely typical of the IPPS, who is the primary victim to a narcissist, that they basically turn into somebody else. They're a shadow of their former selves. Confidence reduced, self-worth shattered, self-esteem through the floor, having lost friends and family, been ostracised from them, no longer participating in some of their hobbies and interests, generally looking worn out, miserable and defeated. The article continues, and the only reason he's not like that is he's following the requests of Harry's wife. He said to himself, what Harry's wife wants, Harry's wife gets, and that's what it's like. Levin described the situation as a tragedy. It comes as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex faced another blow after it emerged they could miss out on this year's Met Gala, wounding for Harry's wife. One of the biggest PR boosting events in the United States, it will take place just 5 days before Harry's father, King Charles III, is crowned. However, PR expert Jordan James reckons the pair are now too hot to handle after their popularity plummeted in the United States. And he reckons even if they are on the guest list, they might just give it a miss owing to the scrutiny they will come under. There was better news for Harry and Harry's wife, though, as Duchess of York Sarah Ferguson backed the couple. She said Harry's wife loves him. No, she doesn't. She's incapable of it. As a narcissist, she has no emotional empathy. And loves the children. No, she doesn't. She thinks she does, but as a narcissist, she has no emotional empathy. And gives Harry a love that he's never had before. Well, you've got that bit right, Sarah Ferguson. Albeit not on the basis that you intend. Her kind of love is a toxic one. Scarring. Unpleasant. Nasty. Starts off fantastic, seemingly compassionate and full of spicy poontang, and then plummets to this dark, insidious, toxic form of love, because it isn't actually. Harry is indeed frightened of her. He's frightened of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, getting in the way. Of course, there'll be occasions where his ginger temper will cause him to fight back. A diminution of his own emotional empathy, that his strong narcissistic trait of anger and argumentativeness will result in some humdingers of arguments taking place. This, of course, is all challenge fuel to her, and she won't back down, repeatedly lambasting him, criticising, bringing things up for the past, triangulating him with other people, until either she storms out, crying and possibly throwing herself to the floor, as is her wont, or that he retreats, sent to the chicken coop, where she then feels that she has got control over him. Her husband is frightened of her. She doesn't care. It's where he ought to be, because she rules. And of course, the fact that your spouse is frightened of you ought, to anybody with a shred of emotional empathy, be a matter of concern. But of course, to a narcissist, it doesn't matter, because we are to be admired and also to be feared. And your fear is your fault. If you do what we wanted, we wouldn't have to treat you in this way. As always, it's always your fault. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.